This week's talk. I don't really have a name for this week's talk. So I guess I call it We Are Resilient. And this comes from an epiphany I had this week. I got to tell you, last week, I had a rough week. I had a very rough week last week. I was trying to figure out how to take a Zoom room like this and live stream it to many different sites. And I knew that that would be an important thing to do to get the word out there for my center, which is closed down. And so people can't meet. And I know not everybody likes to be on Zoom. And so I worked all week on with different softwares and different companies and tried this and tried that. My computer crashed over and over and over again. I'm just the days are ticking by to Sunday, and I'm just in there. And what got me and what I started to realize as my nerve endings, you know how you get when you feel overwhelmed emotionally and time is under pressure and everything's just moving forward. And I realized that I was feeling very emotionally fragile. And then I realized that I'm resilient. And it dawned on me for the first time that both exist in the same moment, that I don't have to fight to get out of my fragility to be resilient. I already am. And then I realized, so are you. So are each and every one of us. When we are feeling emotionally vulnerable, fragile, when we are feeling like we just can't take it anymore, I am here to tell you that you can. That actually there is no end to the resilience you have. And how do I know that? Because we are powerful, creative, spiritual beings, unbound by whatever we may think is binding us, whatever. The key here is that we have within us such power, such strength, no matter how vulnerable we're feeling. And so there I was, sitting there, feeling completely overwhelmed by the task at hand, not even sure it was even possible with all the audio feedback and the loops and everything I was trying to accomplish in terms of having a presentation look fantastic and yet work in a way that works for everybody. I wasn't sure, no matter that it would come together or not. But what I was sure about was my own resiliency. What I was sure about was that every time I felt like I was at the end of my rope, I wasn't. That I had way more rope than I can even than is possible to imagine. We all do. We have the rope of the universe. There is no end to the rope, no matter how much it feels. So I know that many of you in these trying times at home, may be struggling with different parts of it, whether it be shopping or whether it be loneliness or whether it be, fear. Fear can drive us crazy during these times. Fear of coming in contact with somebody and the possibility of catching it and not being sure. And I'm here to tell you that we are powerful, creative, spiritual beings who get to put forth that power in this very moment. That no matter how fragile you may be feeling, there is something deeper going on. There is a deeper sense of who you are. There is a deeper sense of power and presence that is available for you at the same moment you may be feeling vulnerable or fragile. Whatever your challenge, whatever may be going on, there is a deeper way of being with it. And I'm not saying, this is not about putting aside the fragility. This is not about saying, oh, I'm not fragile, I'm resilient. No, that's not what I'm saying here. Because if you're anything like me at all, you might feel that fragility too. I just don't want you to forget, no matter how depressed, fragile, upset, alone you may feel, that there isn't another side to the same truth. And that other side is that you are resilient. You have the resiliency of the universe at your command. You have the resiliency of all of us being together, working together to remind you who you truly are. I mean, because that's what it takes, right? That's what it takes when we're feeling so down, when we're feeling like we just can't go on. What it takes is remembering the truth. And if we can't do it for ourselves, call somebody like Reverend Jane, Reverend Linda, Jeanette, Reverend Gerd. There's a Lisa, there's a million people you can get in touch with so that you can know the truth for yourself. And that doesn't mean the fragility or upset will go away. It might not. But that isn't really the point I'm trying to make today. The point I'm trying to make is that no matter how fragile you feel, you will not break because you are resilient as the universe. You have a deeper sense within you that you can bring forth whenever you need to. And so there I was, feeling fragile and resilient. I kept going, and sure enough, I did work it out for Sunday. And where normally on a Sunday when we're live in my center, we have about 40 people online in the Zoom room, we had 22 people show up, but we had over 100 people watch the live stream on Facebook.
Wow.
It was totally worth the doing. And I had comments upon comments from people who were out there, not on our Zoom room, but watching those of us who were, watching those of us interact. It was incredible. And it wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't remembered that I was resilient. And no matter how fragile I was being, I could keep going. And so that's what's possible here. We're going through a paradigm shift. Yeah, and I want to relay another. I have another story for you. I had a friend who, for 2 solid years, talked about all the time how much he wanted to redo his porch, but he never got around to it. All he did was talk about it. I really want to redo that porch. I really want to redo that porch. I really want to redo that porch, but he never got around to it. One day, this storm comes through. Lightning hits a tree next to the porch. The tree falls on the porch and breaks the porch into a million pieces. Then he had to redo the porch. And now it looks like he always wanted it to look. We have been talking about a world that works for everyone forever. Maybe we don't like the idea that it's a virus that's pulling us all together. But I got to tell you, we are working more together than ever in the history of man. There are more people pulling together, trying to make things work together than ever before. Maybe it took the virus to get us to see what was really possible. Not exactly what we wanted it to look like, but there's something powerful going on here that has changed the world forever in the tiniest of viruses. And so that's what we have here, is something amazing moving forward. Maybe in a way we're not crazy about, but we got to remember what it is we wanted, which is a world that works for everyone. And never before has so many people in the world pulled together for one common good. I think that's fabulous. I hope you do too. And I love you. That's my talk for today.